Hey. This is crazy. This one feel like hitting the buzzer beater or something. Championship game. Dream team. Feeling better than I ever been. Cairo in his bag, this beat is heaven sent. Back up in my element. New whip, trunk up in the front, I whip an elephant. It's all limo tent, that's how you move when you the president. You asking off stream, treat him like my last name. Disrespecting, you just signed a check for a long day. Appetizer rappers, you will never be an entree. Really, you a condiment. And I hope y'all follow this. Crazy how people with the most money lack the common sense. Batman over Gotham, how I'm over shit. Running this game, now they finally noticing. Hear us on TV like, damn, yup, I know that's them. Just had to pay the dues. Now I feel like we could never lose. But it's us against the world. Now we finally got the tools. Watch a few years later, turn a puddle to a pool. We just gotta keep it hot to keep the family living cool. All we do is win like a size dad. I just bought my mom a Louis V bag. I just took little bro to BB Simons. Finna put my fam on the island, that's off one check. But I can't get reckless. The next one's I'm.
What is good, everybody, man? Welcome into the Blue Bloods Coaches Lounge edition. Of course, my co-host, my guy, Coach Leroy Frederick. Man, Coach, how we feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good. We got to figure out a way to get the intro song to play in the background during the whole interview. Turn the puddle into a pool. You didn't hear him when he said he turned a puddle into a pool. He just bought his mom a Louis V bag. And speaking of Louis V bags, I guess we already know she got several of them.
That is a fact, man. We are joined today by the CEO, and in my personal opinion, the best agent in the game right now, man. I've got to chop it up with her at the Legacy Bowl, at Pro Days, man. One of my favorite people to talk to when I'm traveling throughout the I guess the NFL draft circuit before the NFL draft, man. Our girl Rasheeda Liberty, CEO, Lady Live Sports and Entertainment. Rasheeda, we appreciate you for finally hopping on the show.
Thank you. I'm excited about the opportunity. I love Blue Bloods. Love both of you and what you're doing for the HBCU community, not just your own silo, but thinking big about what this means for all of these young men. So I'm on your team. I'm with you.
Coach, kick this one off, man.
Man, I mean, you just gave the intro. One of the baddest people, one of the baddest ladies in the game. Met her through you at a pro day and knew within 30 seconds of talking to her, she was about that business. She wasn't about them games. As she told me, she probably didn't remember saying it. I'm about many and plenty things, Coach Fred, but I ain't about them games. That's my girl right here, Rasheeda, Lady Liberty. How you doing?
Yes, I'm doing well. You know my saying is I may laugh and joke, but I don't play.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's me. I mean, I may laugh and joke, but when it comes down to what I feel like my players deserve, I'm not playing their games with it. So
getting right into it. So I'll lead with the first question, and then we're gonna flow into it now. Lady Liberty, the lounge is a little different. But because it's you, we're going to keep it classy. But the lounge is usually where we smoking cigars, we drinking whiskey, wine, whatever it is. We just relax. We chilling.
Told me.
Oh, my goodness. See, I told you, B. I told you.
You did.
I like a smoky old fashioned sometimes.
We just kicking it. And we just talking real talk. It's real relaxed. It's nothing tight. Let your hair down, and we just get to it. Because it's you, I put it in a yeah. So one of our sponsors that we've had on the show, who sponsors the show, so to speak, Twin Peak Whiskey, Mike and Marquise Pouncey. El Blue, Mike said, we got to put some respect on his name. He's got to go first because he's a minute older than Marquise. So I was like, all right, cool. No problem. We get it. Mike and Marquise Pouncey. Twin Pea whiskey, the whole nine. It's in the cup. Rasheeda, you ready?
I'm ready.
Lady Liberty, here we go. If you got any questions for Lady Liberty, we're going to keep it short, but put it in the chat. We'll get them to her. If she can answer them, she'll answer them. No, she's not going to tell you how much money she has in her bank account. No, she's not going to tell you uh, the ins and outs
$5.
of $5.
That's all I got.
All right, we're going to put your cash app in there because we're going to get that up.
I'm gonna need that cash. Lady Live 1922, hook me up.
We're going to put that, we're going to get that up. But let's jump right into it. Um, it's let's not even cut corners. We're in the lounge. We're kicking it. It's a male dominant business. How did Rasheeda uh, get into the business of being a sports agent?
Oh, that's the easy one. So my husband is a coach. He coached professionally with the NFL, but also coached college, where he says his joy is at the college level. So he's currently a college coach. Through that engagement, I have seen so many men come in and out of our lives. They still call him dad, still like he's coach, he's dad. You know how it is. You're a coach. So you father a lot of young men. And one of the things that my husband said is you have a lot of business prowess. You know how to negotiate, you know how to cut. I have always worked in Fortune 100 companies, and I've always worked on the market and sales finance end of the business. So I've made deals financially for a lot of the big brands you see today. I worked on the Pedigree dog food brand, the Snickers, Combos, Wrigley Gum, all of those productions that you see, some of the packaging you see, the color. We helped build those brands, and I was with teams that built those brands. And so he understood if you translate that to the sports industry, you can be very powerful. Now, male dominated, absolutely. But I was born and bred and raised in corporate America by basically by predominantly white men. So I've always been the lonely only woman, or definitely the lonely only black person in the room, just by the level I was and just by the seat that I had at the table. So it made it very easy for me to translate to this business with very little intimidation because I already knew negotiation skills. And something that a lot of people don't know, I went to London Business School. And in London Business School, it was a former CEO school that taught me high power negotiations. So I learned a lot of the strategies that are utilized today when it's top to top meetings. So it kind of brought me along. All that put together, here I am, sports agent.
Can
What I do.
can can you get me into London Business School?
No, I probably can't get you in London Business School anymore. 5 6 years ago. It's been a while. It's been a while. But great.
Okay, and I'm with it. I'm with it. So that whole $5 thing, you just let it out the bag. We know it's more than $5 in your account. But moving on, we're gonna keep it moving. Uh, for me, before I turn it to B, when you're talking about the business of football, and then you're talking about the gender part of it, um, I guess one of the things that I think people will want to know is how do you get your information on what player,
Mhm.
uh, what team, who you're watching, how to watch it, how to evaluate it. Because I could come out in week one and go crazy for 5 catches, 200 yards. I'll just say a school, I play at Florida State, but
Mhm.
we're playing, Blue Bloods University. And week two, I have 5 catches for 30 yards. We're playing Miami. So how do you get your information? How do you divulge all that information? How do you figure out who's liberty worthy, so to speak?
We start with a top 100 list. Last year we tried to start with a top 100, but we ended at 60. Kind of, like we tried to get that extra 40 in there, but it just didn't make sense because we had such a rich draft class. And usually, right now, we usually start that process in February, March, and it's based on how guys are going into their spring ball.
Upcoming
So
seniors,
yes, incoming
draft
seniors
eligible guys.
or guys that are kind of emerging behind the greatness that was already created with the team in
Okay,
the last couple of years. So you may
okay,
have a star receiver that comes out of a school, but there's someone who learned underneath him. and has been watching him. And there's something about the coaching staff that has developed that player. So we look at who are those coaches, who are those players, and what are the common denominators. Now, I don't know what's happening. I wanted to always go for linemen. My whole heart was on big guys. I wanted the big fellas. And we had some big fellas. We had Keyshawn James, came out of Fayetteville State. We had Miles Brown. He's still playing. Miles rotated through the NFL and is now with the CFL. But somehow I became a receiver girl. I don't know. I'm like, what happened? I don't know what happened. Every single one of my receivers has always had a job.
I knew it was something about you. I knew it was something about you.
Those receivers, boy, those pretty boys that want to
I
get
knew it was. I
You
knew
knew
it was something about
wait,
you.
wait, wait. Are you were a receiver back in the day? Is that
I knew it. I knew it was something about you.
Yeah, my receivers are always employed.
Sean Time, shout out.
Time, Xavier Smith, love him to death. We had BJ Bird. I know you knew about him from Morehead State, but Ryan McDaniel out of North Carolina Central. Keyshawn Carter out of the University of Houston. My
Yes, sir.
receivers are always out there. And so, of course, I have to shout out our 2024 draft class receiver, Joshua Cephas from UTSA, headed to the Jaguars. But it has been, I have always looked for certain skills. So if you're a big guy, of course, we're looking for production, but more than that, we're looking for technique. Because
Ooh,
every year guys get drafted, and you're like, you get this. Well, I was more productive than him. I ran a better 40 than him. Why is he? Because his technique is flawless. And they know that if they put him in the right system, his technique is always going to win. The other thing is we study character. So we do a little research between the coaches, your ex-girlfriends, your social media pages, your comments you leave on posts, what kind of music you put behind your videos. We do a whole character analysis because character is always going to win. So if I see you on your timeline and you smoking weed all the time, or you blowing, oh, can I say that?
yeah. Oh, ain't no doubt. We're in
You
the
know,
lounge.
you're always at the club, or I'm seeing you on Saturday night at the strip club with dollar bills on the ground. That's probably not the character I'm going to invite to Lady Live Sports and Entertainment, because I need you to make sure that when people ask you the question, do you like to play football? You say, no, I love football. So I want that to be important. But we start with about 100. Last year was a little different. We work that list all the way down. We look at how you performed out of spring ball, and we definitely talk to all 32 teams about a player before we even consider whether we're going to approach them to talk to them. I have to have endorsement by the league, not friends, not coaches, not homeboys, not what the news says, not what the media friends say. What did the front office say about you? And if they tell me I haven't been through the school, I don't know who that is. Sometimes I get that. And my job as an agent is to say, well, let me tell you who he is. And you need to get down there and you need to see who he is. And once they hear that a couple of times and they start hearing it from the other industry, they'll usually get to that school. So we can create a lot of buzz and energy as agents to get scouts to actually pay attention.
Okay. Before I pass it to B, I'm going off the grid from what we sent you. Um, I really think this is a great segue into me and you being able to talk to. There's no sense in sending your receivers, to high dollar guys before the draft. I'm your guy.
Mm-hmm.
Train them up, get them ready for the combines, for pro day, and I ain't even charging you with those high dollar guys, but they're gonna be as efficient, if
Mm-hmm.
not better. And we talking about a bottle of wine, a couple cigars, and maybe $50, something like that. But we'll talk about that later. Go ahead, B. You got it. I got it. I'm always the one that gets off track.
The whole training facility is a whole different discussion, but I can go there. I can go there.
I'm the one that gets off track, so I'm gonna send it back to the one that's really. I'm in media. I'm play media, but he's real media, so I'm gonna let him get in right now. Go ahead, B. You got it.
Cracking me up out here. Now, you did say, going into spring practices, you guys kind of had that list together. How has the transfer portal complicated that? Because we've seen guys
Ooh.
wind up at their second school in December, and they're at their third or fourth school by May today. How is that complicated the process?
The transfer portal is killing these players. It's killing them. And I think, and we're starting to see that because there's so many out there hanging, waiting, and they come crawling back to their old school going, hey, I was just kidding. I thought I was better than what I was. Nobody actually wants me. Can I come back? Yeah, I said it. I know. I shouldn't have, but I'm truthful because some players actually contact us to ask us how do we help from the NIL perspective to negotiate to get them, from an NIL agent perspective. How do we negotiate them into different colleges and universities? And what I say is, we understand the portal. We understand that it's available. We understand that players have a choice. What I'm concerned about is players are leaving because they're not fully developed and they don't want to accept the coaching, the truth, or the development that they need. And so I have a formula on leaving or going into the portal. You probably should consider going to portal when you're the star. You're the star. You are dominating at your level and you feel that you have just outplayed and dominated on the field compared to your peers at this conference level. Secondly, you need at least 2 years left. I mean, you coming in a senior, you're going to be utilized to train the new guys because the team has to be more loyal to the guys they just recruited there than you who only has 1 year. Yeah. You're going to sit on the bench and you're going to train the others and you're going to lose your opportunity for visibility, production, and all those things you think you believe.
Say that again before you go to 3. Say that again before you go to 3.
You're going to choose the bigger outfit, sometimes for the money, but the money that's being paid is for production, and you're probably not going to cheat the production because you're going to be sitting on the bench, being the grandpa in the locker room to train up the guys that they actually recruited to be there. And they're not going to sacrifice the guys they actually recruited to be there for your 1 year. They want that guy for 2 years. Yep. And the other thing is, if you are getting in a portal with practice film, you need to stop. Just sit down. You need to stay at your school, get the proper training and development, and realize where you really are. And it is hard because this is an ego business. And I talk to players a lot. And actually, we lost players that we said, hey, here's where you're going to end up in the 2024 draft. And they just couldn't believe it. They were like, no, that's not true. I talked to this other agent and they're going to get me, blah, 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 blah. And we watched them die right now, today. They died at mini camps and they're going to die at the mini camps coming up. So it's like, had you listened and taken the coaching and development at the school that you're at to develop to a full player to dominate the conference, then we can have a conversation. If you're not dominating, if you're going in PFF and you look and you got a C and a D grade 60s and 70s, you clearly are not the star player in your conference. So why would you think that you had the ability to go jump to a bigger conference? And for the people who think they want money now, I need money now, you count on that money now and you save it because that's the last piece of money you're going to have because you're not going to make it to the league. And that's the truth. You don't have the production and the stats. You won't have it. Okay, am I being too real here? Hold on.
No, this is perfect because
we are in the lounge.
Yeah, because it's weird because me and Coach do the show together. Coach is still in the business, so he can only say so much because he's still got to recruit the portal and stuff like that. And I can say what you're saying, but at the same time, like, it's good to hear from someone who's in the business because I'm with you. And that's what me and Coach talk about. Unless you're Cameron Ward or a Jared Verse or someone like that who's an All-American with multiple years left and can go and ball out, do your thing, that's fine. But these guys who aren't even all conference at the FCS level to transfer up and expect to be a superstar at a P4, they're just recruiting you for depth. And I've talked to players who have transferred from the FCS level. I know a lot of guys. There are All-American FCS players who are sitting on the bench right now and their careers are riding away where they could have been drafted or potentially got a UDFA or something like that from the school they were at, and now they lost all their film because they chased the bag.
Because they chased the bag. That's the last bag that they'll chase. And I have seen it happen. I won't call names, but I saw it happen. People transferred from some of the HBCUs and decided that they were going to go a different route. And I'll never forget a scout that I'm very close to, front office leader, said I was talking to him about a player, and the player had transferred from, I guess it was more of a G5 school to a HBCU. And he said he transferred from a G5 to the HBCU. You need to ask the question why. And I said, well, he was very good. He was dominating at the G5. And he said, so if he was dominating at the G5, why didn't he enter the draft? And he said that answers your question of how we view him. And I thought about that and I was like, that is really interesting. So sometimes you see people hop to conferences and they say, well, I want to leave the quote unquote bigger conference to go to what is viewed as a smaller conference and dominate. And it's like, why would you do that? If you were that good, why wouldn't you go into the draft if you were eligible? Because you aren't that good.
I'm glad you said it. And I think
truth serum. I'm sorry.
No, it's good because me and Coach talked yesterday about a player who tweeted out that he was an FBS player and that he appreciates all the FCS offers, but he wasn't going to accept them. But then there was also the Mark Gronowski, South Dakota State quarterback, getting a bunch of offers, 2 national titles. He said he's talked to scouts, agents, GMs, and they were like, man, where are you going? Just stay at South Dakota State, win another national title, and we'll come get you from South Dakota State. We're on our radar because you're that good.
If you can play, you can play. And I would, oh gosh, I didn't see that tweet, but I would strongly caution, be careful what you put out publicly or what you will and will not accept. I've had players say the same thing, like I'm NFL caliber, and then a year later they're in my inbox begging me to get them into the CFL. It's like, yeah, I thought you were NFL caliber. Yeah, NFL spit you up and choose you out, right? So it's just, it is very never just don't disrespect the business because it's a lot to it. And if that player was an FBS player, my question is, why didn't they come get you out of high school?
Repeat.
Why did they come get you out of high school? Why are you, I'm assuming this is an FCS player trying to get to FBS. So if you're an FCS player going to FBS, what happened in high school that you didn't demonstrate that you belong with them then? Why didn't they come get you? And what's different that they would come get you now?
Yep. And he has one non-committable FBS offer, but we'll leave it at that for that situation. Yeah, I know the kid. I wish him well, but we'll leave it at that. We just had the draft, and me and Coach kind of broke it down. There's a big conversation around UDFAs, mini camp invites, the difference and stuff like that. But I want to focus on the contract negotiations because you hear this saying, I'd rather be a UDFA than a late 7th or late 6th round pick. Can you kind of go into the process of how UDFA negotiations start and what that whole process is like up until you sign a contract?
Yeah, so I will say a lot of teams may reach out as day 3 is approaching. First of all, okay, let me back all the way up. Going into the draft, Lady Live Sports and Entertainment, what we do for our clients, we have a pre-draft call. We have calls all along the way because we're trying to get them ready, right? And keep them educated as much as possible. But that pre-draft call that usually happens that Monday and Tuesday of draft week or that weekend before goes through every single team, what every team says, where every team has you by our estimates. Not every team is going to give you the full story. So we have those silent and operation teams that we kind of know what they look for. We use a lot of draft indicator reports to say, this is where, in all likelihood, this is where you're going to be. So we should never have a player sitting on day 2 or day 3 of the draft crying in the TV waiting for his name to be called. If we haven't told you that, like, that's not even that. I always say bad agents do that. Good agents let their players know where the heck they are before they even get there. So if you're in a PFA late round situation, we do PFA scenario building. We know what the player is worth. We know what teams are going to pay him what for the most part, and we know where our negotiation starts. I would rather a player be a PFA than a 6th, 7th round personally as an agent, because that's going to allow me to look at who did they draft, what's the likelihood of you making that roster, and also how much I can negotiate for you.
Can you say that? Can you say that again? Because people said that I was crazy for saying that I would rather, for me as a receiver talk, me and you, I would rather be able to pick my situation than somebody that picks me just to hear my name call and there's 8 veterans already there.
Yes, you would always rather if you're in a to me 6, 7 round PFA are there's no difference. You if you look at it, day one players can play day one in the NFL. Day two, that second round, third round players, they're gonna probably take the number one and number two spot. They can work their way to get there. When you get into fourth and fifth round, you're bottom of the 53, maybe trying to get on the depth chart at the bottom. And when you start talking 6, 7 round, you are fighting 6, 7 round PFA. You are fighting for practice roster. Best case scenario, bottom of the 53, never playing suiting up, right? Things change in camp. Not saying they can't, but I'm saying the way the trajectory is, that's what the situation is. 6, 7 round PFA says I need more development. I got good traits. I just need a little more development. And what team's going to take a risk to keep me? And we see all the teams start making those cuts in September. A lot of those 6, 7 round PFAs they die between camp and September. However, why you want to choose your situation is just that. You want the number one thing you want to look at when you're discussing PFA is what's my ability to make the roster. That's it. That's it. All that guaranteed money and those smoke and mirrors that the media believes in, and it's really your friends. I call it your friends, fans, and followers. Those are the people who care about that. No one else cares. When you show up in that locker room, nobody says, "Well, how much did you get on your guarantee? Where did you get drafted?" No one cares. They just want to know, can you ball? That's it.
Yeah.
No one's asking. No one cares. And so you also often have to say, "Well, where did you get drafted?" And people are like, "Well, I was a UDFA." You don't even know. So can I make the roster? Number two, who develops? Is that team a developing team for your position? Number three, and that you can tell by their conversions of UDFAs, which agents have access to. We can see how many conversions they've had for your position and how often. Number three, relationship. These coaches will work the agents. The coaches will work the players. They will either through top 30 visits, Zoom calls, bowl events. You know who you want to go with. They pretty much built a solid relationship. And then last is the money. So that's our strategy. Last is the money. I don't care about a guarantee. You know what a guarantee means? You're gonna be sitting at home crying with that money in your hands on Sunday. That's what a guarantee. Guarantee means I'm giving it to you because you're not gonna make. You may not make the team, and it's a kind of a concession price. But that sign-on bonus, that's what matters.
I'm with you. I mean, and we've seen it happen. I mean, Marquise Bell, really good example recently, undrafted free agent, has earned a starting spot for the Cowboys
Yeah.
at linebacker / safety. And there's a bunch of other ones. I look at the FCS guys who got drafted that like 6th, 7th round area. And I look at some of the PFAs, and I have much more faith in a majority of the PFAs to make that situation the best. Like a Jalen Coker going to the Panthers, probably more likely than some of those 7th round guys to make the team just because of what's in front of them and the needs there. What could me and you have kind of had this conversation just talking at the Legacy Bowl, talking at Pro Day. Schools, especially FCS schools, seem to be disconnected on how to promote their players for the draft. There's a lot of schools that take a passive approach to publicizing their top prospects. In your opinion, as an agent, seeing the whole process, what can schools do better to promote the guys who have real shots at going to the next level?
I think what I've seen happen with a lot of FBS schools, their compliance officers will invite agents to come in and have conversations with their players. They have agent days, or they may have, special sessions or educational sessions, and they invite agents in. What I think that does is it's not necessarily about selling the agency, but it's more about educating the player on what they're about to face. What I find is when a lot of our FCS players and even HBCU players come and I'm talking to their parents, I realize like how behind they are in the knowledge it takes. If you're calling me in January and February asking me to sign your son, you are so late. Like it is so late. the ramp up of a player to build a player from I don't know who he is to hey, I may consider him as a solid PFA or even a late round. That process starts today. Like February, March. You are starting to have the conversations with the scouts like, what do you think about him? Tell me more about him. I don't know. I'll get down there to see him. I've had a scout. This has happened twice. I had a scout come in to Hula Bowl to see one of my players this year because he's like, you keep telling me about him. I haven't paid attention to him. I'm gonna come. And he interviewed him, and he was like, I love him. That was just. I had another Xavier Smith was at HBCU Legacy Bowl. I kept hounding
Florida boy.
about him. I kept hounding the team and hounding the team. They flew him. He didn't even have a hotel room. He came right from the airport, talked to him on the field, and then got right back on a plane and left. So agents help build that camaraderie and relationship. But I say before you can have full representation, you have to complete your last collegiate game. So agents really shouldn't be, hey, I'm going to represent you. But agents also have a marketing piece where we kind of got to know if I do take him, I have to be ready to hit the ground running in November and December. I can't wait to start talking about him. Even if someone else takes the glory from it, because we've had other agents come in, we built a player up and the other agent came in. It happens all the time. That's just the industry. But I rather build a player up because we're trying to help all of them. Now, coaches, I hear coaches mention often that they invite the league comes in to see their players. Where I've seen some of the FBS schools, they actually physically have a pro liaison that invites the teams to all come in on specific days. So they may invite all of the AFC East. They may invite NFC North. You see what I mean?
Mm,
Like they actually have a system where they invite the scouts to come 3-4 times a year. So if you only have a scout coming through your place once a year, you're already kind of behind because our bigger schools, like here at University of Texas, they're getting those. They're getting the directors. They're getting the national scout. They're getting the Blesto scout. Like they're getting tons of scouts from one team come visit their school multiple times. But they're creating an open and door environment to do that. This is a good film day to watch, or we're gonna have our seniors are gonna all our D line is gonna be practicing today. This is a great day. They actually have formed a relationship where the scouts want to come see something. I think there's also some brand building that the social media for a lot of our FCS schools and HBC schools, they don't promote. They don't promote well. There's not a lot of video content of magnificent plays. There's not a lot of video content of strength and conditioning. Just marketing your players on social media is a huge win, and tagging them. And when they go to the website, they should always be able to pick up their Twitter, their Instagram, their bio information, their stats. It should all be very sectioned. Like, what did this player do that was magnificent last year? Who are their parents? Did they play other sports? What is their tag? So when I go to your roster, I can just click through and go to his Instagram or click through and go to his Twitter. It's systems in place that help scouts be able to really get ingrained with your players. And how are they featured prominently in the city? When I walked into FAMU, I'll never forget, I saw Xavier Smith's face everywhere. And I was like, they're promoting the heck out of their player, like on everything. Coach Simmons, he had that. It wasn't just him, it was like Zay Land. And they showcased their former players who were NFL. They have an NFL wall. Like that is an inspiration for them, but it's also telling the scouts, hey, we got good players that come out of this school. So it's a system that I've seen work for some of these FBS schools. They're creating a lot of visibility for their players.
Yeah, I think that, one thing that you noted, being in the media for me, when I'm putting together all American teams, when I'm researching players, when I'm trying to do game recaps, the amount of team websites that I go to where you'll click on a player profile and there will be nothing there, or it'll be something pointless like, favorite food. It's like, I don't need to know that. Like, I need to know what this kid did as a junior last year. Like, I don't care what his favorite food is. No offense to that. That's good to have at the bottom, but I don't need that to be the only information. Then also, too, inaccurate stats on the website could kill a kid. Like, there was a kid at Jackson last year. I won't say the kid's name. ESPN had him with like 400 something yards receiving, multiple touchdowns. You go to his website, the kid had like 3 catches for like 10 or 11 yards. And it was like, if a scout doesn't check ESPN, he comes to the Jackson website to look at him, there could be a chance that they don't even look at this kid's film because it's saying that he was an irrelevant player and there was no bio for him, nothing like that.
Bio, yeah. And these are intern roles, right? I get people reaching out to me, DMing me for sports that are majoring in sports management and just looking for an unpaid internship. This is literally journalism, sports management. You can get a student at the school to do nothing but research this information, ask this, and upload it on the website. And PFF, I would create a direct link to PFF off my website if that's possible. I don't know if you can. I don't know, but
you could. You could. Now, I will say this. Okay, so when I came into the space, when I started covering FCS, HBCU football, I was the only person in the space that would refer to PFF. And Coach can tell you, there were a lot of people who didn't like that I did that because they say PFF isn't good, PFF isn't this. And there's limitations to PFF. I'm not saying it's an all-encompassing things, but to say that you can't use it is crazy because guess who's using it? Where you're trying to go, the NFL is looking at your PFF scores.
Crazy. They can see all the play in on PFF. No promotion to PFF, but
no. So they come on to the show and say they want to be a part of it. Yeah, we're not shotting them out, nothing like that.
Yeah. But there's systems out there that allow you to be able to see the plays. Yep. So I can click on the tackles. I can click. So there are systems in play. If you're not going to update it yourself accurately, then I would definitely use some type of system. I don't know, no promotion of any one system, but some module that will at least let me know how this player is doing, and someone should be capturing stats. But those are just small things because the criticism that I get a lot of times, and it's harsh from the front offices. It's like they give very key information: lack of nutrition, lack of strength and conditioning, and questionable coaching. Those are the three that they hit you in the mouth with every single time. And we work to counter that before we even get on those calls so that we're ready because we know we're going to face it. But those are probably the big, so you want to showcase those things. So who do you have a deal with? If Smoothie King is in your city, I shouldn't even throw that out there, but a shake system, a store or a nutrition house,
smoothie,
whatever is out there, they should be providing the items for your players, or at least for your star players. They should have a deal between the school. The school should have worked that out and then use them in promotion. And then when you put it on your website, the teams go, look, he's on a nutrition plan. Or, wow, did you see he squatted 315? Or they're looking at different moving messages that attract you to that player. And using the player's name. A lot of times they won't use the player's names in posts or hashtags.
Yep.
Getting them verified too. I have to get players verified all the time. And I'm like, why isn't the school getting you verified? Why do I, as an agent, have to get you verified?
Well, some schools aren't verified, which is even a bigger issue. Is if your team page isn't verified, go ahead and wrap it up because that's a whole nother. That might be a whole nother show. And shout out to Coach KJ Blackman giving a shout out. Appreciate you tuning in.
KJ, Coach. What up?
Yeah, what's up, man?
KJ, hit that like and subscribe button, KJ.
Yeah. This kind of yeah, man. I love KJ, man. I want this is a perfect transition because one of the questions we wanted to talk about is there's this perceived disconnect between the NFL and FCS HBCU programs. Every single year after the draft for the past 4 or 5 years now, it just fires up a debate on what are the solutions, what can we do better. Just from you talking to GMs, talking to scouts, being behind the scenes, is there a true disconnect between NFL front offices and this level of football?
I don't think it's I think there's different, how you look at, I've always worked in, not always, but I've worked in diversity, equity, and inclusion work. And when I think about equity in the process, what I think about are the ways that people get visibility. And so the ways that people get visibility, number one, am I getting teams to actually come to my school? That's a first. Secondly, if enough teams come to my school and they see this player, they're going to start asking for this player post-collegiate. They're going to want to see him at the Hula Bowl, Tropical Bowl, CGS, all of the Senior Bowl, Shrine. Oh God, I better not leave anybody out. But But of all the bowl games that happen in January and February, the scouts are going to start to ask those bowl administrators, like, I want to see him. I want to see him. And then from there, once they get the bowl exposure, they get interviews. And interviews get them, now I start to know the person and start to understand how they learn. And I start to see, Wonderlic is, questionable in some aspects, but there's other testing that happens at some of the bowls. And so that exposure, the interviews, now it sets you up that I know this guy and I'm going to stand on the table for him a little bit. And if you come along with me, partner over in the other front office, and you over here partner in the other front office, we all three of us root for this kid, we may have something and create a buzz in the industry. And then once that buzz is created in industry, that brings the media attention. Then the media attention brings the other teams along. You see, it's a system. Does that make sense? And we play into that system. So as an agency, we know we got to get the scouts' attention. Then we got to get the scouts rallying with us with the bowls. Then we get them in the bowls. Then from the bowls, we get the media. Then from the media, we get the attention of the front office even more. And we go, look at all these people supporting this kid. Come with us. And it's a strategy.
And I think that was if no truer sense of what you just said was with Shine Time, with Steve Smith, Senior.
Mm-hmm.
That took off, and Steve was not letting it die. He stood on it. And then the other part of that is that Shine Time, shout out to my Florida boy, went and did what he was supposed to do when he had the opportunity when it came to testing. So, I think that's very, very, very true in what you're saying. Now, Rasheeda, as I told you before, Miss Lady Liberty, I'm the one that kind of takes it left. So I'm going to take it left just a little bit with these next questions. And it's just something that just hit me from listening to you. And I want you to be as real because we're in the lounge. So I'm going to take a sip because I want you to understand we're in the lounge.
Okay, let me take my water. Or I can act like it's vodka, I guess.
I'm gonna say that's what it is, but that's a whole nother story. But what you do and watching you at the pro day, first breaking in to now, female, African American, dreads, big voice.
Mm-hmm.
How much resistance have you faced in this with getting your players not even through the door, but to the door?
Not a lot. Not a lot. I will say this very loudly. I have truly been embraced by the front offices and the leagues, I think in a unique way. And I think it's because they're so, sometimes I think it's just because they're so shocked. They're like, you are very strong personality. You're not letting up. So I think that has built relationships where GMs now call, right? Or they may want to share some information, or they may want to say, let me give you a piece of advice on this, or have you looked at that? Or, hey, let me help you get him ready for this, right? So I think those nuggets along the way, and I do have some good mentors in the business, some very hidden mentors, but some also very vocal mentors in the business that have just supported and believe in women in the sport, but also more importantly, love what we're trying to do. They know it's not a money play. They know it's not a transaction. They know that it's truly what I call it is God's work. And so those people have been behind us, have helped, and have just made some things happen. And I think they are a part of the success. I've never been pushed away by a front office. Never. Not out of all 32 front offices, including the 2 league offices in California and New York. Never once have I been told, who are you? What are you doing? Get off my phone. Like, no. They may ask, where did you get my number? And I'll say, I can't tell you where I got your number. Now just talk to me. And then they'll laugh and we'll start talking.
And being in media, I understand that we can never give up our sources.
No.
So that was kind of my question is, how hard has it been for you to get inside the team organizations? Me and you have talked several times. I'm still, I don't want to say disappointed or upset with you without helping me get that Singer of Gin deal, but that's a whole nother conversation. Uh, but when you're talking about what you do within the business, the entertainment side, what does that entail?
So the entertainment side, we do a lot of booking, like co-booking, meaning we connect the dots on more the entertainment. I can't tell you those entertainers because we work through a confidential agency situation. But for the most part, if the guys that you may see perform on stage or be on shows or maybe perform in Vegas, we connect the dots for a lot of them for private appearances and things like that.
Can me and B get some Vegas tickets?
Me too, right?
I mean, you ain't got to tell us who. You just send us some tickets and we just show up.
DJs, we have a lot of entertainment agencies that we partner with to make things happen for entertainers. And then our players, like some of our players are entertainers as well. We have one, Morgan Ellison, also known as Juice. He actually performs. He's a rapper. He was a rapper before he came to us, but also has some form of entertainment and makes a lot of money through production and things that he does on the side.
Okay. I was about to start, spitting out some rhymes, but I got people in the chat that would probably, say something about it, but I'll leave it alone. But when you are going through finding the shine times, what goes into selecting shine? What goes into selecting blue? What goes into selecting me as someone that you are trying to pursue to represent?
It's a combination of things. Sometimes, like I said, the character piece, back to like our original conversation, the character.
Conversation.
But for example, if I'm looking at a receiver, depending on what type of receiver he is, his height, weight measurements, I'm trying to figure out, can he be more than a receiver? Okay. So is he a special teams guy? Because I'm looking at ways that are going to help him be multifaceted to make the team. If he's only a receiver, like he doesn't play any special teams and he's 5'10", it's going to be tough for him coming from a smaller program. But then again, I'm also saying, well, how speedy is he and how accurate are his hands? Because maybe there's a reason. What I find in smaller schools is that there's not a lot of depth. So that is the guy. And unfortunately, we can't risk him on special teams. So teams understand that, but I have to be able to sell that if he was asked, he would be able to do it. And if you bring him to a bowl, that's what he's going to do for you. You bring him to a local workout, we can make sure that he does all the special teams for you. On his pro day, he can do all special teams. The top 30, he can't. But those are kind of the things. I look at track and field. What other sports do they play? I knew going into this draft with our receiver, I knew he was a former quarterback, so he can read defenses very well. I knew that he had the lowest drop percentage in FBS football coming into this 2024 draft class. His hands are accurate. Why are his hands accurate? Because he was a star baseball player as well. So putting all those things together, I was like, this is a very good receiver. Same thing. It's strength is a big piece. I've had a old lineman reach out to me post-draft. He wasn't our client. They wanted me to sign him. His family was really pushing for a last-minute signing, but he benched 12. You're not going anywhere.
That's me.
That's me. I told him, I said, I got receivers that can bench more than that. Get out of here. So, I mean, there's no strength. There's zero.
That's a great lead into my next question, because we have this conversation all the time, and that's why Zach is laughing, because he knows where I'm about to go with this. There's programs that see me as a superstar because I did this in the conference. I did this my whole year, my whole 4 years there of eligibility. But as I always say, there has to be a voice of, I don't want to say reasoning, but a voice of realistic speaking. And how do you because you have the big voice. You are very direct. How do you break that? And I guess it's not softly, but how do you tell, hey, look, Blue, hey man, you play center and you went in there and did 2.5 10 times. Blue, ain't nothing I can do for you, man. Hey, look, this is what I can do. I can get you a job, but it ain't playing. So how do you get to that point?
Yeah, so occasionally, so if I won't, I'm at the point now where we won't even sign them because it gives a sense of false hope that if I have an
Mm,
agent, you're going to be able to agent me into becoming a football player.
mm,
Agents don't make football players. What they do is they push the button, and when they push the button and say, "Look at my guy," everyone's eyes are open. They're looking at your guy, and they go, oh, "He ain't that good." It's not because you're a bad agent. It's because your player is not showing up as a great player. What I also tell players is, I ask the question: are you in the top 5% of all college players in your position right now? And if they
mm.
tell me, I'm in the top 5%, maybe the top 20, I'll say, well, the NFL takes the top 5%. So that's I'm giving you your truth serum. And I also let them know that great players, great college players, do not translate to NFL players. And so sometimes what I'll do is I'll break down and tell them, okay, you're great because you like, oh, I smoked that dude. I did this, I did that. Yeah, at the college level. You did at the college level. But I go and get the biggest, baddest NFL player and I say, but can you do that to him? No, you ain't gonna be able to make it past Aaron Donaldson. Like, and you just not. You're a receiver. You tell me Jalen Ramsey won't. Jalen. Have you seen him? Have you seen what he's been developing over the last year? He's gonna kill you as a receiver. So I try to, and then if they don't get it, then I say, let's go to the depth chart. Which one of these players are you picking off? And they'll say, because
I
that's
like that. I like that. I
the
like
depth chart.
that.
I want you to tell me, are you telling me that you're going to be able to get rid of Jamar Chase? Is that what you're saying? You're going to beat Jamar Chase?
I
And
like that.
and so it kind of gives them the yeah, these are the guys you admire. D Hop, Calvin Ridley. Like, are you really going to beat them for that position? I don't know. So it's giving them that reality check, and it's also level setting parents, because parents often it's the
Mm,
family that has sat on the sidelines, taken this kid through little league, seen every step of
hmm
the way, and they just cannot stomach that their player is not NFL quality. And it is hard, but at the end of the day, when you get 12, 13,000 kids in the draft and you only have 300 pick, sometimes you got to say, you know what, my kid probably is not the top 260, 270 of 15,000. Like, it's hard,
mm.
but I'll give a shout out to Equity Sports, Chris Cabot. He trained me when I was coming through. They used to be Steinberg. And one of the things he said that I'll never forget in that training was, you save yourself a lot of time by not lying. A
Mm.
lot of heartache. And so sometimes as an agent, we just have to hit them hard with it and let them stomach it. And then when they come back, I'll say, okay, but what I am telling you is that you need more development. And if I see an opportunity, I can try to work you through the UFL or CFL. But now those leagues, people think, well, I'll just go to the CFL. CFL is no joke. I don't know what you think it is up there. I'm like, CFL is not the default. The CFL has former NFL players and vice versa. Like, there is just right at that cut. So, and then UFL, they shrunk the team, so now you have less
Hmm.
opportunity. So I tell guys, it's a very tough. Great college players just don't translate to great NFL players, and sometimes you need to seize the opportunity. So if your agent was able to get you an invite and you went to do the tryout and you didn't pass a tryout with that team, do not down your agent, because I got people calling me saying I'm Bell tryout. They did a lot more than most.
And I'm glad you did that. And this is my question uh, that I want you to kind of dive into. Then I'll pass it back to B, because there's a difference. There's a sanction, so to speak, NFL tryout, and then there is the undrafted free agent signings. Can you explain to the people who are in the chat that have liked this chat, that have subscribed? Can you explain to them the difference between the two?
Yeah, so there's a difference between a PFA quote slash signing, and then there's a difference between an invite. Signing, when people use the terminology signing, that means you have a contract in hand, pretty much what we call day four. We call it we call it the eighth round of the draft. You'll hear that terminology, or the day four of the draft. It's kind of, the calls start around the fourth, fifth round from teams. They're blowing
Mhm.
you up. If your player is a hot player, they're driving you crazy day three with off, like, hey, when this draft ends, hey, we're not going to draft them, but we want to do something. We'll call you back. Just give you a heads up. Do we have that is day three is a zoo for PFAs. But no matter what, you're walking out of that night with a contract sent over from the player executive, personnel or ops team, and your sign-on bonus, your guarantee, and everything is laid out. Your salary is laid out. Your 3-year salary, because the UDFA gets a 3-year deal, and you sign off with your agent. Sometimes your agent has to put a hard signature on it, and you have to put a hard signature on it, which you usually do when you go to camp. Now, invite means that they saw a trait, saw something in you, had interest in some way, and they want to consider you to come in to try out. It's a tryout, and the invite is, I'm inviting you just to see what you're about. And you can earn a contract based on your invite. If you do not earn that contract, they're going to give you a little bit of stipend. They're going to put you on the bus, and they're going to send you back home, and that's the end of the NFL career. It could be the NFL career. It could be you can have another invite the next week. Because 8 teams usually go week 1, and this weekend coming up, you'll get like 20 some teams. Some teams don't do rookie minicamp invite. Rookie minicamp invite, the rookie minicamp invite weekend is it. Your drafted clients are there, your PFA clients are there, and your rookie minicamp tryout clients are there. Your drafted clients are quote unquote safe. They probably won't have to do a lot. Your PFAs, they're gonna have to work out, right? Your invite, they're gonna have to work out. And these two right here have contracts that would have to be canceled, terminated, or something. This one right here is trying to get a contract, and they will send you home. And when they send you home, your agent is back trying to figure out how to get you in front of teams.
So with that, and then I'll pass it right back to B. But and I want to back up. I've been taking notes. Um, as you said, some of the deal is about questionable coaching at the FCS, HBCU level. I just want to put it out in the lounge with you. You're on with the best receiver coach in the country. So never question that part of it. And once you give me one of your clients to get ready for the draft for Pro Day, and you see the results, I just need you to come back on and publicly say, you know what, that man said he's the best, and he got my guy ready, and he got my guy into a contract. That's all I want you to do. I just need you to okay on that.
This man right here.
He's on one tonight.
Save me, B.
The last question here, because I know you got to go. You got more meetings tonight. The hardest working person in the business for sure. It's an easy one. I guess it might not be an easy one, but what is the future of Lady Live for you? Like, where do you see this company going? What are your goals? Like in 5 years, where do you want to be with this business?
Well, right now we realize that we are at a point where we need to add more agents. So 2024 or the 2025 draft class, we're going to have to bring more agents on. We realize that client operations is important. So I think when you get into the agency business, you think your main goal is to secure the contract, and that is the primary goal. But once you secure the contract, where's he going to live? How's he getting his car there? How does he get his electric cut on? Where's his meal prep coming from? Does he need a maid service? Who's dressing him? Where's he getting his hair cut? Like, that's client operations. And we we've learned and we worked and we've done it all, but we realize that client operations is a big piece of taking care of their camps, making sure that they have their foundation set up, making sure they have the right financial team surrounded around them, right, to protect their assets. So it is a lot of other pieces to agency. We tend to be a full service agency, so we handle non-disclosure agreements, child support issues, bailing you out of jail, getting rid of your tickets. Like we take care of everything under our agency umbrella. We take care of the full player. And if I gave some testimonies, I don't feel released to give some of the testimonies right now because some of our players they find sensitivity to that. But I'll put it like this: our agency has come in, rearranged houses, cooked food, transported, bought groceries, made sure plane tickets were purchased. Like we take care of our clients, their families. But that client operation piece, I definitely see our agency growing and expanding with more agents and more client operations. And what we want to get more into to support our clients is what does their world look like post NFL? Because it doesn't last, or even CFL, UFL, it doesn't last forever. So we want to set them up for financial success.
I mean,
I got somebody for you that.
Yeah,
I got somebody for you that it ain't me, but I got somebody that I can point your way that can help you do all that. But we'll talk about that later. There was a question in the chat, B, and I kind of
I think they wanted to know your opinion on the Legacy Bowl. Obviously, your client set off a whole chain reaction on social media, whether it was overreaction, underreaction. I mean, it was the topic of social media. And someone in the chat just wanted to know your thoughts on the future of the Legacy Bowl.
I actually love the Legacy Bowl. I've been every year since its inception, have a great relationship with Doug Williams and that whole team over there, the team that puts it together. I think it's a great opportunity to showcase. I would like to see more. More NFL teams have support, so I don't want to take that away. But I want to see more of the executive leadership of the NFL teams present. That would send a clear message that this is priority for their businesses. I think that is something that would be key. All the teams are represented for the most part, but I would like to see some directors in place, senior directors, the draft leaders, the cross checkers. We have seen the Pittsburgh Steelers have sent their top brass down. Yep. The Saints have sent their top brass down. I would like to see more top brass in the spot to put a priority on that bowl and not dilute it. And if we're not going to do that, then what I would say is, how do we ensure, instead of having a separate HBCU combine, you ensure that every leader from every conference for every position is a part of the national combine, and then we got something, right? So you almost have to put a standard in place to say, no, we're not going to do it based on invites. We want every leader of every conference, offense and defense, to be a part of the combine. And if you do that for FCS, and if you do that for FBS, and you do that for, it just equals the playing ground. It's back to equity. I don't have to get votes and friends to make it happen, because we know agents work to get votes, right? We try our hardest to solicit and say, hey, is he going to get a vote? Is he going to, are you going to support him? But we don't have to do that if you base it off of strictly who are the leaders of those conferences. Invite them to the combine, and then that'll shut it all down.
1,000% agree. And I'm with you. I think me and you have both been there every single year, and I've seen the scout presence grow so much. I've seen the media presence grow so much. It's trending upward. It's just a few changes to just like take it over the top. And I know there's been talk about moving it up in the schedule in terms of all-star games, readjusting just how the game is formatted. But I mean, all those are good suggestions, but that's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
Rasheeda, thank you so much. This was probably one of the most informative shows we've had on this channel, especially for the lounge. I mean, there's so many people in the chat, and people are going to watch this that are going to be way more educated about the draft process, contracts, the NFL. We thank you so much. Anything you want to plug? Where can they find you on social media? And anything you want to say to the people? This time is yours.
Yeah, I want you to follow us, Lady Live 1922. We actually have a channel. We don't get on like you all do, but we have a channel where I post very critical information just to educate players. I know personally I can't represent every single FCS player, every single HBCU player, but it's our commitment in Lady Live Sports and Entertainment that we will always represent at least one HBCU player for every draft class. That's our goal, and we want to make them successful, and we have made them successful. But I want to make sure that no matter what, you have the right materials and education, because that is where we're failing. We can't possibly sign all the clients, and neither can all my counterparts as agents. There's only about 15 Black female agents in the industry.
Oh,
I know I personally have the most CFL clients um, in that category, but I think we got a lot of work to do just to educate and partner and make sure we do this for the I hate to say for the kids, but for the players, for
Yeah.
the clients. That's who we're trying to take care of. We're trying to create legacy and riches and futures for our young people.
Well, man, this was such an amazing episode for that. Thank you so much, man. But guys, hit the like button, subscribe. Make sure to go follow Rasheeda, her whole team on social media. The best, hardest working team out there, man. And same for Rasheeda, the hardest working woman that I've met at any of the All-Star games that I have been to for agents, scouts, anything like that. But guys, for Rasheeda, for myself, for Coach Fred, and for the Blue Bloods, man, we are out for right now.